Hello, good morning. It is 7:48 a.m. It is February 5th, Thursday morning, and I wanted to come on here and make a quick video to see what's been going on. Okay, and so I've been thinking a lot about, what it meant for these people to get so deeply involved in my targeting. And I'm referring to the targeting network that was responsible for all of this. Okay, they were really starting to, get a lot very delusional in their thinking, and even more cultish than I actually thought. I do believe that they were trying to bring about another one of my ancestors, specifically my father, James Gordon, who suffered here on this earth, a lot due to people very much like him with the same sort of mentality, thinking that like for example, when Steve Murray was overworking me or mistreating me, placing expectations on me because they think, I have these superhuman powers, even though I have, I'm blessed with what can I say this? Supernatural gifts. That doesn't mean that they are exactly the way that people envision it. And also, it's the fact that people take advantage of our gifts and then they leave us in situations much like I'm here right now. So, why would somebody want to come back to the earth under those conditions? That's insane. Okay. Also, when I think about the people who wanted to bring about this particular offspring, they would not be bringing them back. And I understand, I talk about love on the natural, in natural world, or when I say the material world, people do not have any special regard for love. Okay. I think a lot of people, possibly give birth to children, maybe to get welfare or maybe get additional food stamps. Maybe they, see some sort of financial benefit in having kids. And, I understand there's a chain of life, or sometimes there's some sort of production that needs to be put into family settings, but people can be very abusive in these situations. Okay. And, I'm somebody who does see the value of love, treating people in a humane way. And, I don't believe that the offspring of, or this spawn of James Gordon clone, or what do you call it, natural birth version of James Gordon, would really receive the love and care that he would deserve. Now, I understand that it would be a dilution of bloodline, meaning, one of the reasons why I was severely targeted is because of my race. My son is biracial. So by blending in a race, like for example, a white person or a Hispanic person, chances are my father would come out very, light skinned, whatever, with more Eurocentric type attributes. However, he would still be very eccentric. There would something be deep down inside him that would have a inner rage towards the people who he was around. Why? Because we have these genetic memories. We have these understanding of dealing with injustices, dealing with people who have abused us in the past. Okay. So, I will be writing more about this issue in the newsletter, this upcoming newsletter, as to why that was a selfish motive idea, as well as, there's people who think unrealistic thoughts about me. Now, I understand that people thought that perhaps if C.B. Braganza did not commit suicide in the insane asylum, that he would still be ticking it today. Because people actually looked at C.B. Braganza as an immortal. Okay, seriously, like an immortal. Okay, who's to say? Okay. But one thing is for sure, my father is happy in heaven. Okay. And I would be very selfish to demand him come back to earth. Okay. Earth is not a good place to be. It is not a good place to be. Okay. There are certain things that are of beauty and things that can be appreciated. Okay. But the way things run right now, like I said, the only thing you have to look forward to is to grow up and be disappointed in a shitty work environment. That's exactly what it is. So the message I'm getting right now is that yes, it is agreed and wanted. People want me to continue the workplace education. They do believe that it is the true answer. When we think about the work-life balance, I think a lot of people just talk about it because this is what everybody strives for. But does anybody really put into any thought as to how that can be obtained? And I know, like, I talked to Jackie one time and she was talking about how she wants to bring in, new ideas. How does she keep, employees or whatever? And the issue is that there's a lot of things in this structure system when it comes to the workplace that needs revision. And this is what I'm talking about in Gordon's occupational engineering. Yes, I do believe workplaces should be run with psychology. I'm using psychology and law, the principles of it. And I believe that this should extend throughout the rest of society. The message I'm getting right now is that the people are acknowledging this issue. And in the minds of many people, when it comes to this issue about religion and law, people agree it is law that should be run. Okay, religion is something that you choose to do by choice. Sometimes, like maybe Sarah was in a very subjugating religion to where the concept of having the ability to leave was not non-existent, because maybe she was raised in like a cult type thing, and this is why she thought and normalized what she did. And this is what I'm getting. What it's important to say, to address people who practice their religion. I'm not saying do not practice your religion. I'm just saying is, if you have the mentality that this is how things are supposed to be universally, and you make the mistake of enforcing your lifestyle on somebody for the sake of converting them to your religion, you are breaking the law. Okay. And especially in the context of the workplace. Okay. And it could actually cause, just like, when my dad used to tell me when he was younger, that you could get arrested for yelling fire in a theater. And the reason why is because it could create panic to where people are going to be rushing for the door and people are going to get trampled on. Okay. Same thing about bringing religion into the workplace. We're talking about a place that you need in order to survive. We're talking about a place that you need for your income, the housing, your food, the shelter, your children's future, blah, 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 all of that, right? At this place, right? And then somebody wants to throw it up in the air and play games. See, it is a very serious thing. And when you add the context of religion into it, it can become deadly, as we have just witnessed. Okay. So this is why I'm saying the law. Okay. I'm not saying you cannot be Catholic, Protestant, whatever religion you are. Okay. I'm just saying is in the context of work. Okay. You need to be careful. Use caution. Okay. So this is this upcoming video that I'm working on. It's called Religion in the Workplace. I will be sending it to people on my list. Now, I know some of the people on my list may not be here, okay? I have acquired a few other names. Now, if I have sent you resumes directly to you from my email account, then I probably have retained your name and will be sending you and putting you on my list. I do not know people in this community, and the reason why I don't know anyone in this community is because I realized I was being controlled by that network. Okay, they want to control who your friends are, who you see. If I was to have a conversation with you, let's just say, for example, I had a conversation with you out in the parking lot, right? Then if they witnessed that I had a conversation with you, they would go up to that person and then they would convert that person into being, a spy instead of a friend. Okay. I don't deserve that. Okay. And the reason is something about my father's apparition. I understand, I can understand people wanting to take pictures of my father's apparition or whatever. Okay. But I also deserve to be treated like a human. The message I'm getting right now is that it is agreed that people want me to continue my workplace education. I'm glad, okay, because I see great value in that. You know what I mean? I see great value in sticking to law. Okay, law and psychology, not just because what was going on is what was going on in this community was really a woman stalking me. Okay, so everything around the environment, this is how selfish this person was. She was willing to enforce this nonsense on everybody else. You know what I mean? So like, not okay, like for example, BT trucking, okay? Like, enforcing the uniform on me, everybody else had to suffer. And I'm not, maybe they wanted to wear the uniform, but my point is that she wanted to bring everybody in this issue, and that was selfish of her. Okay. And then a lot of people ended up in bad situations because of her selfishness. So, yes, I get the intuitive message that yes, it is agreed and it is wanted that workplace education should be continued. And I will be doing that. So, today I am working on interview questions because I am going to be, hopefully, I met somebody who wants to interview. Now, if they, for or whatever cannot do that, I will be looking for somebody else. Okay. But I am doing an interview for the Swan Song Manifesto. They have the option of choosing whether to appear on a video with me, or as like talking type interview, or they can just answer questions and I will copy and paste them into the Swan Song Manifesto newsletter. The topic that I'm going to be talking about is how to deal with family betrayal. Now, I understand that this community was involved with the kids of 533, right? And this is where the betrayal comes in, okay? As well as the betrayal of my family, my adoptive family, trying to connect me to Bruce, and then thinking that I'm believing and acting on a lie or whatever that connection issue with Sarah. And then the fact that they would actually absorb my son, brainwash my son, and mistreat him, and then make institutionalize. Why I say institutionalize it? Because they put this into employment, the context of employment, okay, which is a no-no, okay, which is something that created a complete disaster, as we can all see. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is everybody was gathered around about this, my father's apparition. Now, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Okay, I talked about my alien spread and me coming to understand that it was in the time frame of 2000 to 2010. The female, the Palladian description. Okay, so now I understand that Sarah has been involved in that time bracket. Okay, so what else I was thinking is, at what point where did it was seen? I want to see exactly where was the apparition. Was it seen? And haven't gotten an answer yet. I'm going to be meditating that. Was it seen? Maybe because my family indication, the indication of family witnessing it first was there. And I kept thinking, okay, was it because at work, maybe I was under surveillance and it appeared on camera? Was it at my sister, at Lisa's house? Did it happen? Where did it happen? Where? Okay. But whatever the case is that I'm looking at this time bracket, and I do believe that my father came because I needed protection. Because what was going on was a smear campaign that was meant to eliminate me with rumors, whether it be me having some sort of relationship, three-way relationship with Sarah and Bruce, or I was some sort of home wrecker, or that I was, a polygamous sister wife or some weird stuff, whatever it is. Okay, like I said, I would say if people who have the ability to hack computers or do research in computers. Now, I had two Facebook accounts. One that was originally created back in the early 2000s. Okay, that was the one where everything blew up. Okay, that account is still accessible, but it's considered inactive. Okay, if somebody was to research that account, you would see that no, I never had any sort of communication with Sarah, anything. I never even searched her, none of that. Okay, you can also check old email accounts. I've had several email accounts throughout the years. There was never any communication, never any on my computer that I ever traced her, followed her, tracked her, inquired about, nothing. Okay, my recent Facebook, Instagram, any sort of social media account, I've never tried to do anything to this person. Okay, or communicate with Bruce or the people that I used to know or anything. Okay, I am 100% innocent in this, squeaky clean, shining, sparkling clean. Okay, so when I think of what goes on in the workplace about people who mob people who stalk people, okay, and then we have members of management who perpetuate this sort of stuff or normalize it or try to gaslight the person, the victim, okay, but this is criminal behavior, okay, and guess who suffers for it, okay. And what scares me is that these people really thought that they were on a religious mission. I can't tell you how that disturbs me. That disturbs me so greatly because that was a cult. That was a cult, a cult. Okay, like I said, Jackie was a part of it. I don't know what religion she belongs to. Alita, all these people. Not one thing do they agree on. One thing they were focused on is they wanted to bring back my father. You know what I mean? And possibly, somehow ensnare my son in all of this. This is too weird for me. Okay, but this is what cults do. Okay, they do very strange stuff. You know what I mean? I'm disturbed. Okay, so the message I'm getting right now is that yes, people do agree that this was an issue that went way too far. Okay, and it should have really never started in the first place. Because, like I said, I don't know Sarah. I don't know her. Okay, So today I'm hoping that today is productive. I'm going to wait a little bit to the afternoon. I need to follow up on phone calls and take care of business. Okay. I feel as though people need to take accountability for what they did. You know what I mean? And what I'm saying is like I get tired of dealing with companies that don't return phone calls. And I do get the feeling that maybe some of these people may not be here. I don't know how far these people went, and to me, I'm disturbed that somebody would ever do something. Okay, because like I said, the argument with this issue is circular. Okay, the original issue is that Sarah was stalking me. Okay, Sarah started stalking me because she was with Bruce and looked at me as competition, even though I didn't even know who she was. Okay, somewhere within this time frame, my father's apparition appeared. Okay, because he realized, and I guess everybody knew that this woman was plotting against me. And how did she use it? She used it off of rumors, and people thought this was a Maria versus Sarah thing. Okay, and as racist as it is, she used her race as a way of gaining advantage. So my father came down and started to protect me. Okay, so no matter how you slice it, I'm innocent. Okay. And like I said, you are more than welcome to check my Facebook accounts, my social media. You are more than welcome. I had so many email accounts during this time period. And the reason why is because I realized I was being stalked. Okay. And when you're stalked, you can expect people to mess with you on social media, to mess with your email, to somehow get involved with your email, steal your emails, read your emails, invade your space. Okay. I kept thinking I had to have multiple, LinkedIn pages. I created so many different accounts throughout the years. I can't tell you how many burner phones I purchased thinking that I could avoid this or try to figure out how I could get away from it. This woman was on top of everything that I was doing. Okay. And I know she had the help of, big agencies, possibly CIA, FBI, whoever, you know what I mean, computer hackers, whatever. Because this is very common in gang stalking. And what did she want to see? I never gave her anything. You know why? Because there was no communication with me and Bruce. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that people are recognizing this, and I'm being talked about a lot. Okay, people understand that this is something that was revealed right before their eyes. They watched the entire thing from the very get go. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that people look at my way as being much better. There's a lot of appreciation being expressed for my New World Order initiatives, as well as me acknowledging the fact that law enforcement needs to actually straighten up. Okay, because this is the only way society could run well. Okay. And this is the very foundation as to why people do not have work life balance in the workplace because of this sort of stuff. Okay. It is impossible to obtain if you allow stalking. Okay. If you think it's okay to gossip in your work environment. Okay. I'm going to show you right now what gossip always escalates into every single time. Okay. It starts to create resentment towards that person. Okay, that person becomes excluded. People become uncomfortable. People do not feel comfortable going to work anymore. Everything starts to fall apart. Okay, and it all starts with what people are saying, doing, and the way that they behave. Okay, so this is why people don't work, 10, 15, 20 years, can retire from the company. It's all of these little issues that people think, oh, they don't matter. Yes, they matter. They matter. Okay. I mean, I know, and I have every right to stand up for this issue. Okay, not just as Maria Gordon. Okay, I want you to understand. I've done readings about where CB Braganza lived and how he lived. Okay, and yes, I will say for somebody who was moving all over the country, here, there, and everywhere, he thought it was worth it. It was worth it. You know why? Because what everybody should deserve is the ability to go to work, do a full day's work, come home, and be at peace without having to worry about somebody, intimidating them at the workplace, trying to worry about, is somebody going to try to get my job? No, no. Okay. If things were operated correctly, people wouldn't have that. And so CB Berganza felt as though, if you couldn't make it in Virginia, then he'll go to South Dakota. If he can't get this there, but he didn't understand. At one point, he probably realized someone's after me. Okay. These religious groups need to stop. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is divine providence, the divine favors me. Also, yes, people are agreeing it is workplace education that is going to get this issue corrected. So I look at myself as a leader of doing this. Why? Because I'm the one who's creating the videos. The message I'm getting right now is that people recognize that I have the right to be that person, to stand out and do my profession the way that I'm supposed to do it. I don't need to deal with people's bullshit. I really don't. Okay? I am somebody who is deserving to get a job right then and there. I should never have to work or worry about a job. Okay? Especially for somebody who, has the work ethic that I do. Okay? So what Sarah did was wrong. What Bruce did was wrong. Okay? So yes, I have every right to. And see, since I'm somebody who seems to address issues that other people seem to sweep under the carpet and ignore, you know what I mean? I look at myself as somebody of value. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that my father is always going to be with me. Yes, he is always going to be with me. Okay, he's maybe on the other side, but he's with me. He is in heaven, but he's on the other side. Heaven is more than just a place, it is a state of being. That means you're invisible, you're weightless, you're lightless. You can go wherever you want to when you want to go. It is a magical state of being. Okay, that a lot of people imagine, you know what I mean? Dream about, paint, depict in art. It's a beautiful state of being. Okay, and it is not controlled by the earthly realm. Okay. The message I'm getting right now is yes, the divine favors me of divine providence. Yes, it is agreed to continue my workplace education. It is the true answer. It is the true answer. Okay. So I'm going to be sending out this video. Okay. And, I am still looking for work. And yes, I do want to continue looking for work. I want to work. I want to have a regular life like everyone else, and I deserve that. My message is that my father is at peace and accepted in heaven. And I'm glad. You know why? Because this issue of him being a bad person through all these years, this is one of the reasons why people gang stalked him and mistreated him. Okay. They mistreated him badly. Okay. Because when he died, he was a mess. Okay. And I remember some of these evil people, the way that they behaved. Okay. And I've seen it myself in my targeting. Okay. I would never want my father back on the earth, even if he could come back as a white person. The reason why is because he would have so much inner rage towards the people that did this to him. And he still does. And it's understandable. Okay. So no, bad idea. Very bad idea. Okay. So the other message I'm coming up with is that people do recognize that I have been dealt an injustice. People do like the idea of following workplace laws. Okay. And the idea of adding the element of psychology. Truly. Okay. Like I said, there are a lot of things that get watered down, eliminated, ignored. And, I understand, like, Sarah and her friends were, determined to prove me wrong. And this whole thing pissed me off. This whole thing pissed me off. Okay. This was outright bullying, discrediting. And I understand, she was very threatened because she never saw a woman of color like me. She never saw a woman of color like me. Okay. And like I said, I've never looked at it as I'm doing this for I never did this for racial issues, racial advancement, or anything. You know what I did? I just needed to pay my bills. Seriously, for real, for real. Okay. So anyway, I need to look forward to having new beginnings. Okay. And I realize that this is a part of who I am. Just like CB Braganza was willing to pick up from one place to another and do what he needed to do. Okay. And yes, a good quality life is worth doing all that for. Okay. I do not have a good quality of life because of what Sarah did. Okay. And then she wanted to affect my son the same way. So yes, even as old as I am, it is worth me, putting in the effort because I deserve to have peace of mind. Okay. CB Braganza long deserved to have peace of mind. So it's been about 139 years since we've been dealing with this bullshit. Because that's exactly what it is. And no, it is not Christianity. It is something else. Okay. A little bit of, a lot of racism, a lot of ignorance. Okay. A lot of competition, but it is not Christianity. Don't sit here and act like Jesus would be doing the same thing, because no, he would not. Okay. And you know it. Okay. And if you didn't know it, because I think a lot of people had no concept of what Christianity, they really thought it was some sort of hate group, some sort of team, like I'm on this team and they're on this team. And they literally look at it like it's a competition. See, and this is what I'm talking about. I am not of this way. I am somebody who recognizes why religion was created in the first place. It was to be connected to the divine. That's it. Okay. It's not watered down by commercialism, the need to associate, my spiritual faith with income, employment, and how it's become now. Okay. And I understand that that's important for churches to make money and everything else. Okay. But my spirituality is 100% pure and devoid of all of that. So when you see things like me doing, I guess, these forms of miracles that occur around me, this is really what it's all about in the first place. The message I'm getting right now is that yes, I should be looking forward to having some positive changes in my life. I hope so. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I'm going to go ahead and start in on some stuff that I want to finish up. I am working on interview questions because I think this is a very important topic. You know what I mean? People need to understand, boundaries. Okay. And you do not bring in people's children and this sort of stuff and have secrets and encourage this sort of behavior in a community. It's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. Okay. And so this is a blemish on it's a moral stain, okay, on the people who participated on this, okay. So I will be making more educational videos. If you are on, well, actually, you know what? Uh, I don't know how I could start doing this, but yeah, I do want to add more people onto my video list, and hopefully people will start subscribing to that channel. I will see what happens with all that. I resent people trying to block me and shadow ban me and do everything else. Apparently I'm very glad that Donald Trump supports my idea and my New World initiative and my push to have law enforcement be more proficient in what they're supposed to be doing. Okay. Apparently I am in good standing in the community, meaning that nobody can say that can be blamed for anything. Okay. I didn't do anything wrong. So let's see how things go in the future. I'm going to wrap up this video and I'll be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye bye.